Hunter, great to see you. Welcome to Dare to Be Vital with Allan Mishra. Thanks for making some time.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Happy Saturday, quarantine Saturday, huh?
It is. I'd love to jump right into it, and I really appreciate you taking some time. This is part of a series of people I'm interviewing about how to thrive, not just survive the coronavirus crisis. And maybe we could begin with just telling us a little bit about yourself, and then jump into some ideas about how to do that.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I got my undergraduate degree in exercise biology, and that took me on a little bit of a journey up to Seattle, where I worked for a few years for a clinical obesity facility that was partnered with Microsoft. So I worked up there, and they had a very, very interesting multidisciplinary program that focused on the social aspects, the psychological aspects, and obviously the physical aspects of kind of weight loss, nutrition, and exercise and things like that. Along that journey, I kind of decided that I wanted to go into medicine. So I ended up applying to medical school, going into residency in physical medicine and rehab, and now I'm a pain fellow, working on managing pain and kind of with a focus on multidisciplinary pain management at this point.
Awesome. And disclaimer, Hunter and I also have been in a bunch of regenerative medicine meetings, and he's an excellent host. I had to fill in for him last year, and I realized how much better you are than I am at doing that in terms of moderating a bunch of doctors.
Herding cats, as we call it.
What'd you say?
Instead of herding cats, as we call it.
Yes, herding cats, for sure. So help us out with what maybe you personally are doing during this time of being isolated or sheltering in place, and then recommendations you might have for working out at home, or also, trying to manage your weight. That's one thing I've had trouble with, is that I'm too close to the refrigerator, and there's a lot of good things that I stocked up on.
Yeah, so for me personally, it's a little bit of an interesting time just because I'm still going to work every day. So we're still going into clinics and trying to encourage people not to come in, doing a lot of telehealth at this point and things of that nature. So my routine has relatively remained stable. That being said, the weekends are like you said, a little bit too close to the fridge. But the hard part is, and I think the hard part for everyone is when you're at home and you're at home for a majority of the time. I think the predisposition is that every day turns into a lazy Sunday, right?
Yeah.
And it's really challenging because you're out of your routine and you kind of have this, well, screw it mindset, right? Which is great in moderation, but as those days start to add up, so do the pounds on the scale, or so does the, the unhealthy habits, right? So I think the most important part with exercise for me is one, trying to make it a priority, right? Now, for a lot of people, the routine has changed. Your habit or going to the gym or going to your yoga class, right? That sense of community has changed. And I think for a lot of people, that community is really, really important for kind of keeping the cohesion with your program.
Right.
So now it kind of falls on you to do it on your own, right? And I think that's where some of the difficulty lies for people, is that lack of human connection, right? And then at the same time, now people are forced to maybe try something new that they may or may not like, right? And I actually think, if you're looking at it from a silver lining standpoint, this is a great opportunity to try something new at home, right? Where you can kind of get creative a little bit. It's almost like the perfect excuse to try that thing you always wanted to try.
Do you have any specific suggestions for us? And maybe it looks like you have some gym equipment in your home or apartment. And for those of us who don't, I actually tried to go to the sporting goods store up here in Northern California about 4 or 5 days ago, looking for some extra barbells, and they were all gone. I wanted to get some barbells and a new jump rope. Gone.
That's actually, that's good. That's inspiring that the community is kind of going out there and finding some pig weight to throw around, and that's it.
That's true.
No, I think for the person that is a recreational exerciser, I think there are a lot of options that have kind of become available, right? So if you look at kind of the emergence of streaming activities, right? Mm-hmm. There are some that require equipment, right? So for example, the Peloton bicycle and the treadmill and things like that. But even if you have your own, at-home trainer, they still are offering free classes for Peloton right now. So you can do
Nice.
the digital course on your bike, which I think is a phenomenal option. Other things, there are tons of home, more aerobic type exercises or body weight, functional strength training. Even if you want to go back to P90X, Insanity, all of the other kind of video courses that are out there, they're still good, as long as you're working within your own limitations, right? But then even other things like streaming yoga, streaming mat Pilates, right? Go back to your PE workout, go and do some calisthenics. I mean, that's the force of gravity is remaining the same, right? So it may be getting more difficult if we're gaining weight during this quarantine.
That's a really good point. So body or gravity-based exercises, things like push-ups or sit-ups or jumping jacks, I've really been leaning into hiking as much as I can. Yeah. And I've actually been hiking with a little bit of a weight vest that I have, which has really been fun to kind of see how far I can push it with that.
Yeah, myself, I like to mountain bike, so I'm fortunate enough to live next to a trail system outside the back of my house. So I just hop on my bike, and usually a little bit more socially distant, I would say, than is even required.
The interesting part about just getting outside, and I think we're very lucky to live in California, but even if you're living in a less interesting or acceptable environment right now, I think it's still valuable to get outside, even if you have to bundle up. There's, fresh air. There's some value to getting a little bit of sunlight right now, if you have anywhere. And so I'm really encouraging people to get outside in any way, shape, form, walk, hike, bike, anything they can.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you almost don't know how much you miss something until it gets taken away from you in that sense, right?
That's true.
The people that are really taking the quarantine serious, as everyone should, you start to really miss some of the more subtle things, like even just getting fresh air, getting a little bit of vitamin D, walking around outside. I mean, it really is. There's a lot of positive health benefits and mental health benefits just from being outside.
So going back to your experience where you were trying to help people with weight management, I think that's a really kind of under-recognized potential problem we're all facing right now. And I think when I went to the store and maybe bought more than I should have, I bought some comfort foods because I'm like, oh my God, it's the apocalypse. I got to get some cereal. I got to get some of these energy bars that have too much sugar in them. And now they're sitting there beckoning me to eat them. And I'm going to admit that I've done it. I don't want to say that, but I've been eating more than I should. And I don't quite know how to stop myself sometimes.
Why do they yell so loud when you're so close? I just can't figure out how their voice gets so loud. It's unbelievable, right?
Right.
But the interesting part is when you have a healthy nutrition plan, right? And let's say you're going about your daily life and you kind of, you have your cheat day, right? It's really, really healthy to have a cheat day because it keeps you balanced, right? It's giving you a little bit of that kind of break and that mental break, right? But at the same time, it also motivates you to kind of get back and keep your routine.
Right.
Again, like we're saying, the routine is now different. So we have to somehow create a better or a different healthy habit while we're at home, right? And so the hard part is well, how do you keep yourself busy, right? Because the busyness of our day allows us to fit nutrition in a structured way, right? Now that routine's gone, now the structure is gone in a sense, and it gets a lot more difficult, right? So what I've been trying to encourage people to do is start to create a little bit more of a sense of purpose with the other things that maybe got pushed on the back burner because of your daily stressors, right? Things like art, music, painting. How about connecting with friends over the phone or FaceTime that you haven't talked to in a long time? Reading,
right?
Journaling, things like that. Things that will keep you busy, but also create a little bit more of a structure to your day where hopefully it kind of distracts you from just making another loop through the kitchen, going back through this and that,
That's really, really good advice. And it's something that, thank you again for taking your time today, because when I was taking a hike a few days ago, trying to figure out how I was going to fill my time. And as an orthopedic surgeon, I've been put a little bit on ice. I mean, they're not letting me operate or do other things right now for good reasons. They need the capacity at the hospitals. And I came up with this idea of interviewing people like yourself who are experts, and I'm really blessed to have an amazing network of people. And for me personally, it's keeping me busy, hopefully in a positive way. But what I'm also trying to inspire people to do is saying, okay, your purpose has been changed by what we're doing right now, or it's been disrupted. But that is giving you, like you just suggested, an opportunity to kind of maybe find what may be your peak purpose. And what I mean by that is you may have these things that you've been thinking about doing, or trying something new like painting, or from my perspective, I've always thought about doing a podcast, but I jumped from podcast to whatever this is called, like a Zoom cast. And I actually love it more than just kind of like maybe an audio version of this, being able to see you, Hunter, and interact with a whole bunch of people who I think are smart about this, and maybe sharing it with other people has become truly awesome for me. And I think there's a lot of other options for people that are sort of adjacent opportunities that we now have time to explore.
Absolutely. And it's that time is the most valuable resource, right? And I believe that across, no matter what you do in your world or your life, time is the most valuable commodity. And here, everything else has stopped, and now we have a lot of this time. And personally, it's invigorating. I feel like my creativity is exploding. It's given me opportunity to commit to kind of my own personal fitness and literally go back to all the things that just get kind of buried in the daily grind sometimes, and it's so sometimes, I got up this morning and I was just thinking about a lot of things. I knew we were going to have this talk, but it just got me thinking about all the other possibilities that are out there if you have the time to do it, right? And to really embrace it.
Right.
I don't know if that's a positive thing or or if it's overwhelming, right? But either way, it's causing you to think about a different perspective and to maybe work out some of the other ideas that you've had in your life. I think it's really, really positive.
Yeah, I think I'm strangely and somewhat embarrassingly invigorated. I'm like, I haven't had the bandwidth to kind of explore some of these opportunities. So I think what we're trying to say to the people who may be listening or watching this is give yourself a chance to what I call think with time in mind, and what can you do with this time that you've been given that you will later be very happy that you spent it as. And so that's something that I think we can all hopefully look into. And maybe it's just, as you said, reading, meditating, taking a walk without your phone, and just enjoying a little bit of a less pressure that's on us right now in terms of our daily lives.
But what you just said is really interesting, though, thinking with time in mind, right? Because another way to phrase that might be being present.
Yeah.
And I think most people, myself included, we fall into the trap of worrying and being preoccupied with all the things that have to be done in a day, that we lose sometimes that presence, right? But when you're truly present, it is inspiring, right? It does motivate you to do all the things that you intrinsically want to do. But
Right.
then at the same time, and maybe you're seeing this when you're talking to other people, being present can also spur anxiety. It can also bring up a lot of things that you kind of buried because you just worked or you were busy or whatever. And I have found, I've talked to a lot of people, myself included, things come up when you sit in silence, right?
Yep.
And I think the value of prioritizing your mental health, especially when your schedule and everything, and especially with what's going on with the pandemic right now, making that a priority is huge.
Yep. And I think that's an important thing to kind of finish on here right now is we are in a time of serious uncertainty. We don't know when it's going to end. We don't know if it's going to get better, if it's going to get worse. But what I'm understanding from a variety of people is this is a time where you're building resilience, and how we spend this time. Maybe it is time to ruminate a little bit about some of those concerns and try to come up with some solutions. I'm really trying to reach out to old friends, pick up the phone, as you said, FaceTime, trying to, socially distance, but not be socially isolated, and then reach out and help as many people as we can. And what we've just done here, Hunter, is awesome. And your time obviously is important, and I appreciate you sharing it with me today. And I look forward to keeping in touch and continuing to learn from how you're doing. And stay healthy, stay safe, and best to you and all your friends and family.
You as well, and stay vital.
Yeah, dare to be vital, my friend. Bye now. Thanks again.
Yeah, have a good